Listen, I'm telling you, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is super overrated for self-defense. I say this because there are too many people that think Jiu-Jitsu is the only thing that they need. They think that if they go to a Jiu-Jitsu gym for a few months or a year, that's it. They're invincible. Doesn't matter who messes with them, small or big, nobody can touch them. And this is so far from true. This idea stems from the early days of the UFC when the Gracies were just smoking everybody. And a lot of the people that think like this, that Jiu-Jitsu is the only answer you need for self-defense, a lot of these people think that a real altercation is going to be like a schoolyard fight with the bully. They think it's going to be like that. Hey man, after school at 3 o'clock, meet me at this location. You and me, we're going to go at it. Then you go after school at 3 o'clock. You go and meet the bully. All the other school kids come to watch you fight the bully. If that's something that school kids even do nowadays, from what I hear, they're pretty soft. So I don't even know if they do that, but that's a different topic. Anyways, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, super overrated, and I'm going to give you a few reasons why. The first reason why Jiu-Jitsu is overrated is because of butt swooping and pulling guard. This is something I have to bring up because one part of me laughs when I see it, but one part of me cringes when I see it. When you watch, a lot of the times you'll watch a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu match, one guy right away, he'll just get on his butt, start swooping towards his opponent, and tries to pull guard. Do you think this is a good idea to do in a real altercation? Start to get on your butt and start swooping towards your opponent? Do you think it's a good idea to get on concrete and start butt swooping towards him, trying to pull guard? No, it's not a good idea. And even if it is, it looks ridiculous. I remember one time I was watching this jiu-jitsu match. I forget the promotion. It was probably one. But right when the match starts, one of the guys gets on one leg and he starts doing this, hopping towards his opponent like this. Starts hopping towards him like that, trying to grab, I don't know. He literally looked like one of those, like a zombie from Call of Duty. You know those Call of Duty zombies when they run towards you like this, trying to attack you? That's literally what this guy looked like, doing this with his opponent. Now, I'm sure the guy had a game plan. He's good at what he does, but it was just laughable to me. Now, a lot of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys, they'll say something like, oh, well, man, I just butt swoop and pull guard in the gym when I'm training. That's not, if I go into a real fight, that's not what I'm actually going to do. The guys that say this, they're missing something important when it comes to real fighting. They're missing the fact that the way you train is the way you fight. What you're doing in the gym, you're building a muscle memory. So if you're in the gym and you're always pulling guard, you're always butt swooping and pulling guard in the gym, and then you get into a real altercation and the adrenaline kicks in. What happens when the adrenaline kicks in is you're going to go back to your muscle memory. You're going to go back to your instinct. And what is your instinct? Get on your butt, start swooping towards your opponent, start pulling guard. That's what you're going to do in a real altercation because that's what you do in training. So that's the first reason Jiu-Jitsu is overrated. The second reason Jiu-Jitsu is overrated is because Jiu-Jitsu doesn't involve any striking. There's no punches, no kicks, no ground and pound, nothing like that. And this is important. If you're not used to somebody punching you, you're not used to somebody swinging at you, what'll happen in a real altercation is that you'll start to tense up. You'll start to flinch a lot because you're tense. You'll start to blink when somebody throws a punch at you. You're going to throw really sloppy punches. You're going to fight really sloppy. You'll throw really sloppy, slow punches that have no power behind them. And 4, when you're tense, is you'll gas out really quickly. When you're tense, you get tired very fast. And when you're tired, it's very easy to get very hurt. And it's very difficult to use your skills, your techniques that you learn in the jiu-jitsu gym in a real altercation when you're tired. So you gotta get used to being punched in the face. This is very important. The third reason jiu-jitsu is overrated is because you don't want to fight on the ground. In a real altercation, being on the ground is probably the worst thing that you can do. And a lot of submissions won't work if your opponent if he can bite you, if he can poke you in the eyes, if he has a weapon, or if he has a friend around the corner that's gonna just come and soccer kick you in the head while you're on the ground with his friend. And that brings me to another point. The fourth reason jiu-jitsu is overrated is because you can't deal with multiple attackers. If you have to deal with 2 or 3 people, the last thing you want to do is take one of them down to the ground and try and use your jiu-jitsu game on them. For obvious reasons, it's not going to end well for you. And what you won't be able to do, if you have this fantasy, just in case you have this fantasy, what you won't be able to do is take one of them down to the ground, quickly tap him out with a rear naked choke, get back up, take down the second guy, armbar him, get back up and choke out the third guy. No, that's not going to happen. You're not Superman. So just in case somebody has this fantasy, this isn't a movie, so it's not going to happen. If you want to deal with multiple attackers, you need some sort of striking art. You need boxing, kickboxing, or Muay Thai, something like that. The fifth reason that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is overrated is because it has a weak clinching and takedown game. Now, I know a lot of gyms are starting to change this. A lot of gyms are starting to implement more clinching and takedown work in their game. This is true. For example, the gym that I go to, this is something that we work on. Nonetheless, a lot of gyms still have very little clinching and takedown work, and even if they do work on that, it's still weak and insufficient. And a lot of the time, in a real altercation, you're going to end up clinching with your opponent. You're going to go from throwing punches to clinching with them. And I know I said that you want to avoid ground fighting, and I stand by that. You want to avoid ground fighting. But if it happens, if you do end up fighting on the ground in a real altercation, you don't want to be the guy that ends up on your back. If you end up fighting on the ground, you want to be the one that takes down your opponent and you're on top of them. So if you want to do this, if you want to be the one that takes them down, you obviously need to work on your takedowns. You need to work on your clinching game. So this is something that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is just not good at. If you want to work on your clinching and takedowns, you need to get into wrestling or judo. So those are a few reasons why Jiu-Jitsu is overrated. Now, I want to clarify something. I'm saying Jiu-Jitsu is overrated. I am not saying Jiu-Jitsu is useless. Those are two different things. I'm not saying Jiu-Jitsu is useless. In fact, I've talked about this before. You should learn Jiu-Jitsu. At least basic jiu-jitsu. In fact, I train in jiu-jitsu. I do it myself. I love it. There's a lot of benefit to it. So I'm not saying jiu-jitsu is useless. I'm saying it's overrated because there's a lot of people that think that, like I said in the beginning, all they have to do is get into jiu-jitsu for a year and that's it. They're a complete fighter. They can handle anybody. In any altercation, they're good. And this isn't true. This isn't true. You need to learn not just jiu-jitsu, you need to learn basic boxing, basic wrestling, get used to striking, get used to somebody hitting you, work on your clinching, takedowns, get in the weight room, build some muscle, work on your conditioning. These are things I've talked about before. You need to be a complete fighter if you want to take care of yourself and your loved ones.